Questions to ask throughout a campaign with the confidence rising. I told JC, Nate and Rich that good times are coming, no need for deep diving. Fan cams, reactions, watch alongs to the pride of London thriving. The Eagles of South stay flying. Keep your eyes on us, we ain't hiding.
Yes, guys, welcome back to Eagle-Eyed Football, and this is the Everton match preview. So, before we actually get on to Everton, let's talk about Wolves real quick. How great was that? Coming back from 1-0 down to eventually win 2-1 against Wolves. Listen, going into that game, we thought it was very tough. Looking at how they were playing and how we were playing, they can't score, and it seemed to be the last couple of games we can't either. Looking at how we set up the exact same. We only changed Elise, one of our wide players. And to be fair, in that first half, we didn't have much goal threat. And ever since Vieira made that tactical change to sort of move everyone, move the wingers so they cut in and the fullback overlaps, changed the game. We opened them up. Their centre-backs had no idea what they were doing, and it was brilliant. If you want to hear everyone's thoughts on it, please, after this, take a look at all the fan cams that have come out. We've got Addison Textor on there with some of his sons or some of his friends, not his sons. He's a bit young for that, no. But, yeah, you got that. And also, I'll tell you what, I really enjoyed how Amazon Prime have covered all the midweek games this week. I think it's been enjoyable to watch. The new innovations of having two managers standing next to each other, having to ask each other a question before the game starts, I think is the content that we'd actually like to see. I quite liked it, actually. And especially all the interviews that they done after. They actually picked some pretty good hosts in the sense of they got Clinton Morrison on, and they actually asked proper questions to people like Zaha, Vieira, and even looking at the other teams like Ten Hag and these guys like that. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. Great game. Nice sort of tactical analysis there. But here in the back, Astro, how are you doing?
All right, mate. How's it going?
I'm doing much better now that we got another 3 points in the bag.
I would expect you're flying at the moment.
Well, yeah, we are the Eagles, so what do you expect?
Being true to form, then. Yeah, you know what? I was just taking a look at the table just to do a little bit of quick research into where you guys are right now, because obviously I'm very Everton centric, and I don't always I don't look at the rest of the league too much until it's pertinent, and you guys are definitely pertinent. And I was just, I don't know, if I was where you guys are sitting right now, you've played one match less than us. You're sitting well placed in the table. You're playing really good football at the moment. And you know what, right? We were able to do the business against you guys in the spring, when it was do or die for us. And it was the last time that I spoke to you guys. I do not want to play you guys this weekend. We couldn't score in a month of Sundays, and you guys are looking really exciting, and you've done good business this transfer window. And yeah, like I said, I should go into every match thinking that we're gonna have these and we're gonna get some points, but I'm not quite as animated and bold as I was last year at this time.
Well, put it this way, I think that after that stupidness of that pitch invasion and what happened, I reckon that it's pretty much the same players are still there. So it wouldn't surprise me if we go there looking for revenge, because it's not going to be nice having what happened to them.
Yeah, listen, sometimes head gets your head gets outpaced by your heart. And if I had been at Goodison Park last May, I would have been on the pitch too. You know what I mean? There's just no way I could have avoided it. But I think that, listen, there's one way. Listen, you celebrate your victory, okay? And those lads that had a run at Patrick Vieira, well out of bounds. That's inappropriate. That never should have happened. Now, do I think Everton needed to have a £300,000 fine levied on them for that pitch invasion? No, I think that was a bit heavy-handed, but it had to be addressed.
I think that was a bit lenient, if you ask me, because it wasn't just Vieira, it was the team. Like some guy was trying to burn Eze with his flare.
I didn't. There again, I did not
slap Benteke. It's just it's not a good look. And to be fair, Everton fans aren't in the best light right now, especially from what they done to Newcastle fans the other day or last night.
Okay, I'm unaware of anything that happened.
They were throwing like bottles and stuff at the fan coaches, and they've actually hit some women and kids as they were doing it.
So listen, like I can't, I can't speak for every single Evertonian. I'm only speaking for myself, and I'm a Yank speaking for myself. You have to represent your club well in how you behave. And that's why, like, I try to make sure that everybody understands my good-natured fun on Twitter is just that. It's good-natured fun. And there's no malice intended in it. And, I did a live match commentary of the Liverpool match, and I offended a Liverpool fan who didn't think my joke was appropriate. And I was like, straight away, hey, I'm sorry about that. I'll apologize, and I'll put my hand up real quick. But at the end of the day, I think that you have to represent your club well as a supporter. You have to be, you have to be respectful of other teams, and you have to remember that at the end of the day, it's a bit of fun, and you want to passionately support your club, but you have to do so in a way that is befitting. You got to act like you got some sense. And if there's anybody, I can say this: if I'm at a match and I see somebody throwing something, I'm going to pull them up on it. I might get my teeth kicked out my ass for it, but I'll pull them up for it. And in addition to, listen, the pitch invasion, you're talking about this fantastic moment in time for an Evertonian, it's you bring that moment up, right? And I have tried to not look back at it because I don't want to celebrate mediocrity. Okay, I'm pretty sure that the badge on the shirt says NSNO, which is Nil Satis Nisi Optimum, which is nothing but the best is good enough. And celebrating avoiding relegation is far from the best, and it is certainly not good enough. And also, I would say that when it comes to us as fans and how we behave, we ought to cover ourselves in a bit more glory than, like you said, snapping Benteke and burning Eze with a flare. Listen, that was a mad moment. And like I said, I would have been on the pitch, but I definitely wouldn't have harassed a Palace player. And that's exactly why I'm worried about Saturday, because we couldn't score in a month of Sundays. We couldn't catch a cold buck naked in the Arctic, much less a break on the pitch. And you guys are playing well and looking bright, and you've got an axe to grind over what happened last time you guys were at Goodison. All I can say is I hope that you guys are going to receive a loud and full voiced welcome, but that everybody stays in their seats and nobody says anything inappropriate, because I know that there have been instances in the past where players have received some abuse, and listen, I don't like that crap. I don't have any time for it. Any kind of racial abuse. Listen, I'm sorry. It ain't no place for it in the world. And if you hear something, you stop it. You say something. And there again, 100%. I can't answer for every Everton. I can only speak for myself. But that crap doesn't go around me. And if anybody does it, then I'll have words with them. Like I said, I'll probably get my teeth kicked through my own backside. But
oh yeah, a couple of people are liking that comment. But yeah, Louis, shout out Louis. He's got his own YouTube channel started up, so go subscribe to him. We got Chairman, Evelyn lads. He's rapping the song. That's CM. So he's a regular in the chat. So when he pops in, you guys can have a look, check him out. He does some good stuff. He streams. He's a Man United fan, unfortunately. Yeah, Amazon looks very good. I'm liking the coverage that Amazon are doing. I think it's brilliant. Yes, it is at Goodison.
Yes, it is.
Matt is another Everton fan, which should be jumping on shortly. So you'll have a mate. Yeah, he says it again. Henry's liking your comment, or your teeth getting kicked out your ass. Don't worry, Wolves haven't scored in 78 shots until they play Crystal Palace. And that is something that I was going to say when you was talking about can't score in a month of Sundays.
Sure.
We play awful in the first half. We are second half FC. If you could put us to bed in the first half, then you've probably won the game, because the amount of times that we've gone in at half time, we've booed the players, Vieira's absolutely dug them out, and we've come back and had a magnificent second half. It's just a bit frustrating that we can't do that from the start. We actually have to go a goal down to actually start playing football.
Yeah.
Who in our team sort of gives you the biggest threat, do you think?
Mate, you know what, right? I am the absolute world's worst podcast guest or match preview guest, because like when I tell you, like, I don't know, Eze, I guess, if I'm going to be honest, and that might be an odd like he's got something to prove, you know what I mean? After getting, accosted in that post match mayhem. But you know what, mate, I'll have to give it, if you give me just a second, to kind of collect my thoughts. I'm literally like at work and I was able to step over and jump in and join. I can probably speak more appropriately to an Everton question than I can a Palace question, and I apologize for being ignorant. But when I am ignorant, I will put my hand up and say that I just probably don't know.
All right. Well, if we put it on to sort of a both question, Frank Lampard, what are you thinking of him right now?
That is, I think that the worst thing that Everton could do at the moment is to sack another manager, because there's a revolving door on the gaffer's office at Finch Farm. The team doesn't feel broken like it did at this point last season. I think that he set us up to be difficult to score against, but we have absolutely no attacking prowess in the final third. And I'm not sure what's going on. The team's not broken, but something's not right. His comments regarding Dominic Calvert-Lewin and how we're bringing him up to speed, and how he's playing at the moment, and what the situation is regarding his fitness and health. Everton literally have a lack of attacking options. I mean, we are the proverbial one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest right now. We're not going to win. And you know what? It's like it's like the lottery, right? If you don't buy a ticket, you can't win. Well, if you don't take shots, you'll never score a goal. And
we have that same problem. We don't shoot enough.
True. But the thing is that it's almost like they want to walk the ball into the net, and that's just never going to happen.
Yeah, we have that exact same problem, unfortunately.
Yep. And I'll be honest, like, it was one moment of class that really, undid Everton at Newcastle. Almiron, he couldn't, hit the broadside of a barn with a bass fiddle until the beginning of this season. And now he's scoring for fun. You know what I mean? So he's that was just a moment of class. And, it's a frustrating thing. I'm not gonna not back Lampard, but I'm beginning to question, some of the changes that he's making and when he's making them. But there again, I'm an ignorant Yank who probably doesn't know, cat shit from apple butter when it comes to football tactics. And I'm hoping that, I don't know, I'm hoping he's going to prove me right. And my faith is well placed. I think that the answer to the attacking problems that Everton is experiencing are not located inside the club at the moment. I feel like they are at a point where they're going to have to recruit very shrewdly in the winter transfer window, and which is the most difficult time to do that. Prices are elevated, availability is decreased. And I just think that we really did ourselves a disservice when we finished the transfer window and didn't sign an all-out striker who is similar in style and form to Dominic Calvert-Lewin. And obviously the injuries he picked up last season, he never really got over them. Obviously, he had a moment of class against Palace at Goodison Park that kept us in the Premier League. But since then, he's been a former shadow of what he was before. So, we're at a situation where we're at an impasse. I'm very, very concerned with Everton as a whole. I feel like there are a whole lot more questions than there are answers. And again, like I said, if I could have played anybody other than you guys or a team who's in the ascendancy or has a point to make, I would prefer. I don't know. I don't know. I saw this. I was looking at the schedule and I was like, when we didn't win against Newcastle, I was like, oh no. I was like, we're this is not the game. This is not the week to play you guys. And I would prefer to be much more bold and full of bravado. But I'm gonna hide. I'm gonna be under the coffee table watching Saturday morning.
Well, yeah. Well, going back onto Lampard, I think when we were linked with him, and we're very heavily linked with him to be our manager, but then we changed our mind and got Vieira because he said that we're too small of a club for him. but I think the one with you talking about the January window already for you guys, I'm guessing you're already seeing some issues with the team. When he was at Chelsea, to me, it looked like he sort of overdone it with strikers. Like he just had too many strikers; he couldn't play them all at the same time.
Sure.
Do you think that this could be the same issue? Because if he gets too many forwards, and you've already got a few, will there be problems with how you'll line up? Do you think he'll try and please certain people over other people?
I don't think we're going to have a lack of or a problem with the number of forwards that we have because, you've got Malpe and you've got Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and that's literally it. And on the wings, Andros Townsend still hasn't come back from that horrific knee injury that he suffered at Selhurst Park in the FA Cup last season. Now, my understanding is that he is convalescing really, really well, and he's training, and that hopefully he'll be back around Boxing Day. Which would be really great to have not just his ability on the wing, but also his leadership back on the pitch. Because I've got a lot of time for Andros Townsend. The problem is that we have no way to attack down the wing. And even if Dominic Calvert-Lewin was playing to the peak of his ability as a target man in the 18-yard box, if the crosses aren't going to be well placed, it doesn't matter how good he is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If he's not getting the service, he's not going to produce goals. I'm afraid that, I've kept my mouth shut about this, but I think Anthony Gordon is probably one of the most overrated players that I can remember in recent memory at Everton. I don't like his little pouty attitude. I don't like the fact that he goes to ground easy, and I've
got a great stat actually on Gordon. You know how he was suspended for 5 yellows? Did you know
he
4
is
of
the
those
most
yellows
penalized.
for diving? He got 4 of those yellows for diving this season.
I'm not surprised. I want to say this, most of the stains on his uniform haven't come from somebody putting him on the pitch. They've come from him throwing himself to the ground. Listen, there's a whole bigger conversation to have here in regard to the state of officiating in the Premier League. But at the end of the day, I think that Anthony Gordon does not do himself any credit by the way he behaves. And for him to already be on 6 yellow cards at this point in the season, it is laughable. I'm not sure whether he's out of form or if this is some kind of, I don't know, him showing out because he didn't get the transfer that he wanted in the summer window.
Do you feel as a fan you should have taken that 60 million now?
Listen, I would have snatched your hand off, okay, for whatever the offer was, because I think he's overrated. Now, that doesn't mean I dislike Anthony Gordon. Nothing would make me happier than for him to prove me wrong and for him to score 15 goals for the rest of the season and be an absolute terror flying down the wing. But the problem is that he's I don't know. He's just not that guy right now. And I don't know if it's a crisis of confidence. My understanding is that he's been offered a new contract and he's not signing it because he thinks he ought to be paid more. I'm thinking, okay, if I'm trying to show my boss that I'm worth more money, maybe I ought to perform at what I've been hired to do. And if he's going to want to demand more money, let your performance on the pitch dictate your worth when it comes to your payment. And for me, I don't. Like I said before, Everton started very bright. It started okay. And I think that the fact that, and I've said this in my match reactions, this season is such an odd one because, we started the season so early because of the World Cup break that we have coming up. And that there was so much transfer window left. Squads were not complete. Okay, you didn't have the whole picture. You didn't have a full roster, so you go with what you got. And Everton didn't get Cody in until after the beginning of the season, and obviously it was the injury to Ben Godfrey and also to Mason Holgate that was driving Everton to make that signing. Which I'm so glad that Wolves had a lapse of judgment and let him go, because he's just been a great addition to the team, and I'm made up with how he and Tarkovsky are playing.
Yeah, that was my next
Blue and white
question.
coffee shark. You know what I mean? He's awesome. And that's probably the best two signings that Everton made. I just if I had the locker room for 5 minutes, I would say quit being so damn cute. Play the match the way it's supposed to be played. Stay on your feet, and don't like at Newcastle Wednesday night. What did we do? We gave the Newcastle supporters a reason to get on us, because people are just going to ground. Onana went to ground at one point when the attack was he basically stopped the attack because he was on the ground rolling around. And I think that Onana's a great signing. I think he's an excellent talent, and I think he's only going to be at Everton for a few years if he continues to progress, because he'll go on to greener pastures in the same way Richarlison has. But for me at this point, Everton has a hell of a lot more questions than they do answers. Like I said, I'm a worried man, as the old saying goes.
100%. Well, I think you covered all the questions I was going to ask. I was going to say, well, I think that the best three signings that you've made is Tarkovsky, Cody, and Onana.
Yes.
So, Rich, he's taken all the words out of my mouth. Have you got any questions for him?
First things first, big up everyone. I hope everyone's doing well. JC, thanks for obviously starting the show. I had to sort the girls basically for bed. Just drop a heart emoji for Matt. His son's gone to the doctors and stuff, just for a checkup on his ear and stuff. So he would have been with us as well today, but he can't make. He might jump in later, but I told him don't rush. Like make sure little one's okay and stuff. But we had to reach out to Astro. The passion, the energy, for his club. And this
I don't have to ask him many questions. He just hits everything you need to say.
Well, I appreciate you guys reaching out to me, because I think my 15 minutes of internet fame have probably ticked by and then some. So I don't have I hate to say this, but I don't have as much to say this season as I did last season. It all started as a bit of fun, and I've been very busy both professionally and personally over the past few weeks and over the past few months, really, for this whole season, actually. So I haven't had the opportunity to get involved the way I had before. So when you reached out to me last night, I wanted to do everything that I could to fit in, because I enjoy the work that you guys do, and I have a lot of respect for Crystal Palace. I've never had a bad experience with anybody I've ever interacted with who supports Palace. I really appreciate you guys reaching out and including me in what you're doing. It's great. It's wonderful to have the opportunity.
Astro, please keep doing what you're doing. Like, you're gonna get haters everywhere. It's just life. And you know what it is? They don't like the fact that you're so passionate. They don't like the fact that you're actually positive. When they want to complain and you give more of a positive spin to it, they're not happy. We have the same problem with our fan club as well. Trust me. You mentioned Jordan Ayew, it goes crazy. And
if you don't grill him, you're an alien.
It's crazy. But yeah, please continue doing, like, honestly, like, just listen to your content and your passion and stuff. It just keeps us.
Well, one thing I actually, one thing I was going to say is, recently, I've noticed it, and obviously it's not got anything to do with our two great clubs, but Wrexham and Blythe had an FA Cup tie that went to a replay at the racecourse ground, and I noticed in kind of the post match from Saturday, one of the young mascots at Blythe, Leland, I think is his name. He's a 6-year-old lad, and he's fighting leukemia. Okay. And somebody had sent me an autographed Everton shirt last year at the end of the season. And then a friend of mine who works at the club as a steward, actually got another one for me and had my name put on the back and signed it for me. So somehow I ended up with 2 team signed Everton shirts at the end of last season. And after hearing about Leland and everything that he's going through, I went on Twitter and I'm going to give away one of my squad signed Everton shirts to anybody who will go in and retweet my message of support for Leland and the information about where you could go and see if you are a donor or a match for somebody who's fighting leukemia. DKMS.org.uk and Anthony Nolan are where you would go to do that. And anybody, whether you're a Palace supporter, whether you're an Everton supporter or Wrexham or Blythe or whoever, I don't care if it's Scunthorpe Town, you know what I mean? Anybody who wants to be put into the drawing for that Everton shirt just needs to make a donation to DKMS or to Anthony Nolan or to do a retweet. Any act of support will get you into the drawing. And I'm going to send that over with a personal note, and you get a video as well. You know what I mean? If you want an Astro video in addition to your shirt, you can have that as well. But I think that there are, there's football is important. Football is life. But there's some things that are just bigger than that. And I like to do everything I can to help out with that because it's a rough world, and sometimes we all got to stick up for each other. You know what I mean? And if I can do a little something to help get Leland's message out, then hey, so be it, man. You got to do your part.
We've already got some fans. You've already made some new fans in our chat.
That's great. Well, listen, like I said, I really appreciate having to have such an educated and back and forth discourse with you guys. Like I said before, from the last time we did this conversation, like I said before, I've got a lot of respect for Palace. And what's funny is, as an Evertonian, I look at that pitch invasion and that end of that match through a completely different lens than you guys do, right? And I don't see it. I don't see the negativity of it until we properly discuss it, and I have the opportunity to understand the perspective of a Palace supporter. And you know what? When I look back on it, it's all a bit cringe. And I'm just so glad we stayed up, but I feel like we pressed a pause button on our struggle. And we've a bad run of form leading up to this World Cup break, and Everton are going to be back where they were a year ago. And for us to have to find the recruitment answers that we're going to have to try to find in January, it does, like I said, cause me some worry.
Well, talking about the squad and our squad as well, Matt, who's in the chat, has made a combined 11. So we're going to show it. You're going to tell me if you agree with it or not. And if you don't agree with it, then we'll let you pick your own combined 11. So the rules are very simple. This combined 11.
Okay.
You need to have at least 3 players from each team. So if you want to put a whole team of Palace players, you have to put at least 3 Everton players. If you want to have a full Everton team, you have to have at least 3 Palace players.
Okay.
All right. So this is what Matt has chosen. So Matt
don't
has
forget,
said
JC, they must be fit for this.
They must be fit as well. So this is what Matt has put forward. He says Pickford in goal with Tyreek Mitchell at left back, Tarkowski and Joachim Andersen as the centre back duo. He's got Seamus Coleman at right back. You've got Onana in midfield with Iwobi and Eze also in midfield. You've got a front 3 of Zaha, Elise, and Calvert-Lewin. Do you agree or do you not agree?
You know what, right? That right back, I don't know. For as much as I think of Seamus Coleman as a human being, I think that he is at the very tail end of his career, and he offers absolutely nothing going forward. He is primarily just straight up defense. And I'm going to ask an ignorant question: is Klein fit at the moment?
No, that's funny because that is the same problem we have. The only right back we have that is fit is Joel Ward, who is in that exact same situation as Seamus Coleman. Right. He delivers nothing going forwards, but he's brilliant defensively.
Okay. Obviously, I don't disagree with left back at all, because I don't think that Mikalenko is. I question his defensive ability at times, and he offers nothing going in attack. So I'm fine with that. I'm fine with the center backs as well. Pickford, Pickford on his night is still quite an effective keeper and does an excellent job. So I'm going to stick with that. I mean, in the midfield, I couldn't, obviously Eze is a no-brainer. I don't know if you asked me between Dominic Calvert-Lewin and obviously I'm going to ask another ignorant question: is Benteke fit?
Benteke doesn't play for us anymore.
Okay, that shows you just how off the mark I am. When I tell you that I'm
It's
thinking
funny
about
because he
Everton and
plays
nobody else,
he plays
that's
DC United now.
there again. Okay, so that's apologies. Apparently, I'm as bad of a supporter and as Everton is at playing the game right now. Yeah. I mean, who do you? I'm just gonna ask who is your attacking striker right now? Who's your center forward? Who's starting the matches for you guys?
Odsonne Edouard is our current number
Okay,
first choice.
Edouard. Yeah, yep. I would put Edouard. Yeah, I would actually have him in place of Dominic Calvert-Lewin just because I don't think is he coming back off of an injury.
Who, Edouard?
Yeah.
No, he's been fit all season.
Okay.
He scored. I think he scored two goals in his last 4, but he has got 2 assists as well.
There you go. Listen, that's a no-brainer right there. And I think that I would actually go with that starting 11 right there combined. I think would be quite fair. Because, listen, for Elise and for Zaha and for Edouard, that makes perfect sense. Because, like I said, Everton, like I said, we couldn't score in a month of Sundays at the moment. So definitely.
You've not heard about Charity Professional Football Club, have you?
We're
a charity.
I don't believe that. Listen, I honestly do not believe that. I really don't. You say that, but you're gonna probably beat the brakes off us on Sunday.
I hope so.
I'm very worried. For me, like I said, when you have a team coming in with a point to prove, when a team is coming in and their form is much higher than yours. I mean, now listen, it would be the most Everton thing ever for Dominic Calvert-Lewin to wake up and have a great match on Saturday. But if I had to, I'll put it to you this way: one of my best mates here is an Evertonian, and he put money on Palace to win because he said flat out, "I'll make $36 if Palace win." He's like, "But I'd happily pay $20 for 3 points right now." Because he never bets for Everton; he always bets against them.
However, whenever people think Palace are going to win, we lose. So that's just how it goes.
Well, listen, when we came to Selhurst Park last year in the FA Cup, I thought we were going to have something for you guys, and you absolutely beat us up one side and down the other. And with our inability to attack down the wing, and to create any kind of chance whatsoever, I just listen. You gotta score goals to win, and we're not scoring goals. We've got fewer goals scored than games played. I once sat through a 0-0 draw, freezing at St. Mary's in Southampton. Was Pochettino's first match, 0-0 draw, and this just feels like that kind of a Everton team to me. That struggles to score. That only once in my life as an Evertonian. Now, obviously, that starts around 2010. We only had one striker that would run at the opposition, and that was Lukaku. You know what I mean? He would run at the defense. He would create space, and obviously, while his first touch did leave something to be desired sometimes, he was a prolific striker and probably one of the best ever that's worn the blue shirt at Everton. And I would give anything for a half a Lukaku right now, much less a whole one. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know where the goals are coming from, fellas.
Well, as a Palace fan, I can see exactly where your goals are going to come from because our only, I would say, midfielder is suspended during this game. So we do not have our best midfielder, who is Cheick Doucouré, who we bought in the summer as he picked up his 5th yellow, and he's now suspended for the Everton game. Put it this way, without him, we have no midfield. We have Ebere Eze, which is trying to play the 8 role, but he is a terrible number 8. He is more like a 10. He's a brilliant 10, but we try and play him in the 8 role, but he's terrible in that role, and we've also got a Jeffrey Schlupp that just goes rogue and does whatever he wants. He'll be trying to get in behind when we're on the defense. You're thinking, what are you doing? So we are going to have to either start Luka Milivojevic, who actually hasn't done too bad lately, but that is for his standards. His standards are very low in the pits.
And they've been off the bench.
Yeah, so he hasn't had
Okay,
any
so he hasn't started. Okay, so his performances have been in support off the bench then. Okay.
So we've got two options. Both have had hardly any game time, and they're not. They can't even lace Doucouré's boots, and he's the only reason why we haven't held a battering on how we've done pretty well. I'll tell you this now. Onana's 6'5". He's going to have so much fun in that midfield.
He's a unit. I mean, he's a big lad. There was a supporters club function recently where some mates of mine were stood next to him, and I got to see just how tall he is. And I know you're like, listen, I'm 5'9", so he would tower over me. He's great carrying the ball forward, but that final product in that third, I have to also, every chance I get, atone for myself. Last year, I actually said Alex Iwobi was where the attack went to die. And I also said he was about as useful as a bag of dicks with no handles. Okay. And I shouldn't have said that because it's mean. And I couldn't be more wrong. And I've never been more happy to say I was wrong, because watching him and how he's played this season. Now, granted, Wednesday night, he didn't have a great night, but Alex Iwobi and his transformation has been such a pleasure to watch. And I'm so excited to see him do well. And I hope I have to apologize for what I said for ages. I hope long may this form continue for him. And I think that our midfield has drastically improved. But the problem is that when we sold Richarlison, we sold our fight. Okay, we kind of sold our inspiration. He for all the things that Richarlison does that would wind you up, he did a lot of things right. And for us, we didn't fill that gap. We haven't replaced him in any way, not in spirit, not in performance. So yeah, it's one of those where I think that you're right. We might do well with you in the midfield, but if we don't have any sort of product to finish the match with, if we don't have any finishing, we're never. I mean, listen, maybe it's a 0-0 draw. You know what I mean? Which I would snatch your arm off for a point right now, because I think that's the best we can hope for.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think that just because of that one suspension, I wouldn't be surprised if you walk away with the 3 points, because I'm genuinely that afraid of missing this one player because he's so critical to how we play. But Iwobi is going to have a field day in that midfield. Him, Onana, I don't even know who your next midfielder is, because it don't matter. Because
Idrissa Gana Gay is we signed him
he's
back
the rock.
from PSG.
He'll just hold it.
He seeing him back. Listen, that's the thing, is that from the final 2/3 of the field, midfield has improved drastically for Everton. Cody and Tarkovsky, they are a solid spine of central defense, right? When we had Nathan Patterson, bombing down that right wing, who started the season so brightly, it kind of made up for the fact that Mikalenko's, maybe not as potent in attack as we'd hoped he would be. For me, it's a situation where I don't know. It's that final third. It's the final third where we just do not have the ability. I'm like I said before, I'm not going to get on Lampard. I'm giving him time. Our director of football, Kevin Thelwell, seems to have a very, very good idea of what he's trying to do with recruitment. And the January window will make or break what Everton is able to do this season. Listen, I never had any delusions of grandeur thinking that Everton were going to finish top half of the table. I just don't have the mental capacity to deal with another relegation scrap. Plus, I think I used every 1980s wrestling reference that I could possibly get a hold of. So it's just one of those. I don't want to be put in that position again. Notice that the big gold wrestling belt has not made an appearance yet this year, and it won't until Everton's performance dictates I bring it back out.
Fair enough. Nate, how you doing?
Yeah, all good. hopefully we don't get a repeat of the last time we went Goodison Park where Charity Professional Football Club turned up in the second half. Because only Palace can be 2-0 up. Nothing to play for. Give up 3 goals from Benny Hill defending. No other club in England would do that. No other club in England would do that.
Everton would do it. Everton was playing Watford and lost 5-2 last year after leading 2-1. So yeah, sorry.
To be fair, we did the double over Watford, so I'll give you that one, Astro.
You know what's mad, right? Is that match? I was actually at work in my office, right? And I scared the office staff half to death because when Calvert-Lewin headed that ball in, I literally ran through the office, down the stairs, and outside the building. It was jumping around in the street. People thought I had lost my mind.
Imagine it got VAR'd out though.
By the way, like that's the thing. Like when Cody scored against Liverpool, like I did a live match reaction and like going back and listening to myself as I did that. Oh man, I was fuming. But yeah, what can you do? I mean, VAR. You know what, right? Like if you told me today that the top 6 were just going to go away, and the rest of the 14 we could promote 6 other teams. Get some proper officiating in where we could enjoy watching the match and not have to sit there with every goal hoping VAR doesn't call it back. I want there to be a bit more, I don't know, there was a whole lot more magic to footy back in the day, it feels like. And it feels like, I don't know.
Well, to be fair, they are thinking of restarting that Super League, so that could actually be an opportunity for them to actually get rid of them 6 teams and promote 6 more. We could actually have a half decent, non-biased Premier League. Hopefully,
I would thoroughly enjoy that. There might be a chance. I'd love to see a team like a Palace or an Everton win the Premier League title. Wouldn't that be fun?
That'll be brilliant. Yeah. But yeah, Astro, Richard's going to take you through the predictions league, which we have. So we've got a predictions league.
Oh, you know what? I haven't updated the table.
Well, basically, I think Nicky done it. I think Nate's still last. I think Rich is first. I think the guest is a little bit in front of Nate, and I don't really know the rest. I didn't have
I'll update it and tweet it tomorrow.
But yeah, so we do predictions league. So it's 1 point for a correct result and 3 points for a correct score. So perfect score. And we've got a list, and basically, I know no one told you this. I know Rich definitely didn't tell you this, but if you do the worst out of all of our guests, you have to come back on and do a forfeit.
Hey, listen, I'll come back. I'd love to come back. If you guys will have me, man, I'm happy too.
What's your heat tolerance like?
Oh, that's mean. That's mean.
I told you I'm trying to ship this. I've done the 1 chip challenge myself, and I've got a spare one sitting in my house. I need to get rid of it.
No.
So, just as a heads up, Grizz Khan is at the bottom of the predictions league for the guest. He's a Liverpool fan. You can't do any worse than him because he got he got a flat
3.
0, wasn't
3?
No, he got 3.
Oh, he got 3.
Okay. Well, here's the hoping that might be the one-time Everton best Liverpool the whole season. So I'll take it. I'll take that as my challenge.
However, all guests will have a second opportunity to do that. Like so, the return fixture. That's
you've got a chance. If you fumble it the first round, you've got a chance to get better for the game at Selhurst Park, which is
all right. That sounds good.
And just quickly, big up. This has been a minute. So I hope you're doing well, my bro. And yeah, to be fair, Arsenal are doing bits.
But now, don't worry, Arsenal's collapse will happen. Let them enjoy it for now, but we've seen this before with Arsenal.
Boy.
I'll be honest with you. Like the funny thing for me is that my father-in-law is a Manchester United supporter, right? Season ticket holder at Old Trafford. All he could talk to me about is Haaland. And like for me, he's too good. Like he honest to goodness, like he's like I can't even be mad. He's just that good. I'll say this, right? Like if I call him the Norwegian Drago, if he'd have fought Rocky in Rocky 4, okay, it's a whole different ball game. Rocky dies, okay. And if Skynet had sent that version of the Holland Terminator back, Sarah Connor's toast. You know what I mean? This kid's unreal, and like he's doing things that's just unbelievable. Yeah. Yeah.
Right, you ready, Astro?
Ready.
First game, Forest versus Liverpool.
Oh, Forest versus Liverpool. That's going to be 3-0 to Liverpool.
Everton Palace.
Oh, 1-1 draw. And
I'll
that's me
take
being
that.
optimistic, by the way. That's me being optimistic,
Yeah,
by the
with
way.
our potential midfield, I will take that.
Yeah.
Man City Brighton.
Ooh. 3-1 City.
I like Astro. You picked the right scoreline. Well done, mate. Well done.
Chelsea Manchester United.
Ooh. United did Spurs. Hang on a second. United did Spurs. I'm yelling that from my coworker who's got a White Hart Lane sign on his board. Sorry. United did turn Spurs over this week. So that means they're due for a dip in form. I'm going to say 2-1 Chelsea.
Villa Brentford.
Villa Brentford. Ooh. 1-1 draw.
And just on that note, like the reason why I've kind of laid off my Lampard agenda is because I've moved on to Steven Gerrard. How is he not sacked? How is he not sacked yet? Leeds Fulham.
No, Rich, forget Gerrard. It's more about Rodgers.
That's a good point.
Yes. Yes.
That's a good point.
I'm still listening. I just have to grab my charger. The computer is about to die, and I don't want to get cut off mid-contest. So I'm listening. I'll be right back with you. Keep asking.
No problem. Leeds Fulham.
Ooh. Let me see. Leeds Fulham. Let me think about that.
Astro speaking.
I'm actually going to go 2-1 for Fulham because I don't like. Because believe it or not, even though I'm a Yank, I don't like Jesse Marsh. I just don't like him. I don't like him. He wears these tight rolled jeans and he's always putting his watch. You know what I mean? Listen, you might have your tight pants on, but listen, ain't nobody trying to see that. You know what I'm saying? Some proper fitting britches. You know what I mean? And quit being like that. You know what I mean? So, old skinny jeans, Jesse. Sorry.
Yeah, just so you know, that's not a fashion trend in Yorkshire. So that he brought that from America.
Oh,
so
I know he
if
did.
you ever go Leeds away,
listen, when I'm in the UK, I spend the majority of my time in North Yorkshire. So I understand. Like I don't know where he found that, but it sure as hell wasn't in North Yorkshire. So yeah, you can find all kinds of great things there, but tight jeans ain't on the list.
No, it ain't it.
No.
Right. Southampton Arsenal.
Ooh, Arsenal 3-3. No, you know what? 2-0 Arsenal.
This should be fun. Wolves Leicester.
Goals.
Man, I tell you what. I don't know. That one's just brutal. I'm gonna call that one a 1-0 for Leicester.
I've got the best way to describe that game: a cure for insomnia. Because we played Leicester and we played Wolves, and between the pair of them, if anybody was an insomniac at Selhurst Park or at the King Power Stadium, they got cured. Trust me, they got cured. Because Wolves, I think Wolves were playing Limp Bizkit in their dressing room before the game before they played us. Hella rolling all over the place. And as for Leicester, same thing applies. Leicester were falling all over the place. It was all slip and slide. So that's going to be one of those games you're just like, this is a Premier League game, yeah?
Wow. Yeah.
Wow.
I
don't know why. I thought this has got 0-0 written all over it. You know?
It probably does, but I don't know. I kind of feel like at some point Leicester will kind of snap out of it a little bit. And who better to do it against than Wolves? I mean, I don't know. This whole I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Like, this season's just felt off. You know what I mean? I don't know if it's from a scheduling perspective or having the World Cup being played at a period of time where it just doesn't feel right, does it? Anybody who has momentum, okay, going into that World Cup break has to worry about whether they're going to take, a break and lose that momentum. I mean, it's in American sports, it's different. My American baseball, rounders essentially. My baseball team.
We know
is,
what baseball is.
I know, but you gotta understand. You gotta understand. My wife calls it rounders. She goes, "What you doing watching rounders?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's essentially what it is." But no, they had 5 days off because they won their division. And that 5 days of them not playing, they went from literally being on top of it, hitting everything that moved, to not being able to score hardly a run. So, I think that a loss of momentum could be, if Arsenal does manage to get to, the World Cup, break on top, that collapse that you're talking about, Nate, is probably going to come when they start to get back up to speed with the matches when they kick back off at the end of December. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. This whole season with the season beginning when it did, with the transfer window running as deep into the season as it did, it just kind of felt like, I don't know. It feels like everything is just being moved around to accommodate the World Cup. And I have to admit, from a personal perspective, I've never been less excited about a World Cup since I was a kid and I didn't even know what footy was. You know what I mean?
I think that's just because of where it's being held. Because let's be honest, South Korea was a different story. Nobody really minded that. But with Qatar, we all know people are a little bit sketchy about how it came to be. We had the similar doubts with Russia. But to be fair, the Russian World Cup was pretty good. But let's be honest, not many people care about the World Cup this year because England ain't winning it. We know that for a fact. Just straight up not winning it.
I'm a pariah around here because I absolutely do not care for the U.S. men's national team at all. And I haven't really kept up with them since 2014. I'm more about, I identify more with the Everton players, than anybody else. So if Everton, obviously Pickford being England's number one, that makes me more worried about what England does. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not really I'll be pulling for. I'll tell you this: until somebody tells me otherwise, it's coming home. You know what I mean? I've got this crazy feeling that it's one of those weird years where England could up and do something. So, and I would be one happy Yank if they did. I know that's blasphemy, and I'm probably going to get arrested for treason when I get off of this call. But yeah, 3 lions on the shirt.
Yeah. Just before we do the last 2 fixtures, I just want to say a massive shout out to Jackie. Thank you so much for the message you put out after the vlog. It's just 100%. Nice to read these comments and stuff. Obviously, we're working hard to just bring fun content to you guys, as well as enjoying ourselves, so thank you so much for your kind words.
But Rich, just quickly, we want to hold our hands up here. We really wanted that Leicester game to be a lot more impactful and fun to talk about and drama and controversy, but no, it didn't quite happen. And ironically, the pub was the highlight of the whole day, but we wouldn't change the last weekend we had for the world. The Wolves game was pretty fun. We could have vlogged that game. It would have been more exciting, but
it would have, Definitely. Highlights were definitely pumpkins. Right. Spurs, Newcastle.
I'm actually going to call that a... You know what? I'm going to call that one 2-0 Spurs.
I'm struggling with that one for myself, by the way.
You know what, right? Spurs are going to have something to prove after United turned them over midweek. I think Newcastle is going to probably, I don't know. I could just see that going wrong. So
Alexa, stop. What's it doing?
You may want to put her on mute because I've had to mute mine in case mine kicks off.
Is that really Alexa though, JC?
Come on, man.
I'm only joking.
Rich and JC ain't speaking no more. Astro, I'll check you out for the match reaction. No, we're only playing.
Oh man, let's get this last result done.
West Ham, Bournemouth.
Oh,
Monday
West
Night
Ham
Football.
1-0. West Ham 1-0.
Brilliant. Cool. Guys, for everyone else who's involved in the Predictions League, the deadline is tomorrow, 7 p.m., I believe. But don't quote me on that because Nicky will probably put like 6. so let me just clarify with Nicky.
It's not Nicky's thing. He's in charge of the FPL. The Predictions League is more my thing, but okay, I'll let little brother have it because I'll never hear the end of it.
It's funny because I'll tweet out our deadlines at like 7, and then he'll put in Discord deadlines at 6. I'm like, wait, what is that?
I know, but actually, do you know what? The Everton Palace game is live over here. Actually, it's on. It's because you can't get Amazon Prime broadcast in Ireland, so it's actually on Premier Sports. So I'll actually get to work. So that's sweet.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, for me, it's properly set up. I don't like that. We had that late kickoff against United, and that I don't like that late kickoff on a Sunday. This match is perfectly set up for me. 10 o'clock on a Saturday morning is when it's going to kick off. And obviously, like I don't know, all my streaming is set up so that I can get all the Everton matches. You know what I mean? So for me, I think that match is going to be on the it's the NBC streaming app called Peacock. So that one's worth it because like back in the day,
Let me tell you something. We went to the Wolves game, that 8:15 kickoff. Never again. That was awful.
It's brutal. It's absolutely brutal.
Who picked this kickoff time? Seriously.
And Nate, we were having this discussion earlier before you were able to jump in. It just feels like football does not care about its fans anymore. With the standard of officiating, with the kickoffs, where and think about this, like I'm doing my best to get to a match at Goodison over the Christmas break, right? Because I'm going to be back and we're celebrating Christmas. My wife's family lives up in North Yorkshire, and for me, like I'm trying to look at getting the train over, for a match, Brighton at home, and like it. Just the fact that they could move the fixture, the fact that they do anything to that fixture, right? Yeah. All my train tickets shot, hotel shot, like everything, tickets, everything, and I'm only there for a very brief period of time, right? Yeah. So when you start when and I am an extreme case, right? But even for you guys, right, who go home and away for Crystal Palace. You face the same thing that other away fans face, with fixtures being moved willy-nilly and they have all the oddball kickoff times. Nobody's thinking about the fans when you have a kickoff that late on a Sunday night. People got to go to work, you know what I mean? And it just feels like there could be a bit more consideration for the fans.
Definitely.
But
Astro, before we let you go, please shout out the charity that you was talking about for giving away your shirt and also
absolutely.
Yourself. Thanks for coming on.
So anthonynolan.org and dkms.co.uk. It's basically anywhere where you can register to be a bone marrow donor, helping out adults and kids who are in a fight against leukemia. If you do anything like that, or you even make a little small donation via Just Giving, hit me up on Twitter at BlueAce1878. Tell me how you're supporting people fight in their fight against leukemia, and I'm going to enter you into a drawing for a signed Everton kit from last year. And for me, I am Astro at BlueAce1878. I'm always talking about everything to do with Everton. Please don't hesitate to give me a follow and give me a shout. I'm happy to chat footy with anybody who wants to do so in a fun and constructive way, like you fine gentlemen here at Eagle Eye. I really appreciate you guys having me back on. It's been so much fun, Rich. I was super excited to get the message from you, and I really appreciate it. And I wish you guys all the best, except on Saturday and when we come to Selhurst Park.
Likewise.
Any other time, I'm always happy to see Palace get the result. So
Astro, when you go to Brighton game with Everton, don't beat Brighton. We're blaming you. All right, it's gonna be your fault.
Listen, I've got to get there, and getting there is going to be the crazy part. So,
I know.
Yeah. So,
on that note, if you so happen to just divert to London at any stage, let us know.
You know what? I'm telling you, Selhurst Park is the very next ground that I will go to an away match at. And if I am in town, you gentlemen will be some of the first people to know. And I will look forward. And the first pint's on me. So there you go.
Decent. Well, Astro, on behalf of us Eagle Eye Football, thanks very much for coming on. Guys,
Thanks
this
for having
has
me,
been
guys.
The Everton match preview. Like, comment, subscribe. As always, turn
on the
that
notification
bell
bell.
on, because we want you guys to know when we post, because we post a lot. Yeah, check out the fan cams if you haven't already. And this is it. Eagle Eye Football, we are out. Eagles!
Questions to ask throughout a campaign with the confidence rising. I told JC, Nate and Rich that good times are coming, no need for deep diving. Van Cam's reactions, watch alongs to the pride of London thriving. The Eagles of South stay flying. Keep your eyes on us, we ain't hiding.